The Last Frontier is a new series on Apple TV Plus, so today, let's see if it's worth your time. When a lone U.S. Marshal's jurisdiction is turned upside down after a prison transport plane crashes in the remote wilderness, setting free dozens of violent inmates, he begins to suspect the crash was not an accident. This is from the creator of The Blacklist, and when I sat down to watch Last Frontier, I realized it was 10 episodes. And each episode was like an hour long. I thought, how are they going to fill in 10 hours of this lone U.S. Marshal played by Jason Clarke, who's on the hunt for these escaped convicts after a plane crashed? It fills in very nicely. This is a very intense series. It takes a very intense opening of this plane that crashes, and several inmates escape from this plane in the wilderness. There's one prison transport that has a lot more security than the others. And from there on, they build off of that intense opening and have conspiracies, and that this maybe wasn't an accident and it was all planned from the beginning. I read an interview with the creator of the show, and he never wanted the audience to be bored. And I never felt bored watching these 10 episodes. I was always interested in what was going to happen next. There were several cliffhangers. It always kept my attention. And within these 10 episodes, it manages to do so much. You have the plane that crashes and several prisoners escape from that plane. But early on with some of these episodes, it is like a prisoner of the week, where you focus on one prisoner, some of their backstory, where they're at in the wilderness, and people are trying to hunt them down. Like you have Johnny Knoxville in here, and he is one of these prisoners, and so you focus an episode on him. Another episode would focus on another prisoner and them being hunted down. But in the midst of this all, there is that conspiracy surrounding the plane and exactly what is happening. And that's just growing throughout the show. So you have your main storyline, the plane, and the conspiracy theory surrounding it all, and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But it's giving you like this bonus add-on with the prisoners that have escaped, and people are trying to find them. So you're getting a lot. And he talked about it being like a full meal. And you have your main course of this storyline, but then you have this extra add-on, these sides to it all, and it just fills in so much, and you do feel stuffed as you are watching this, and a lot of it's very intense. The storylines with the prisoners, and you have separate little storylines that go throughout. That all feels connected to our main course. And that main course with Jason Clarke, this U.S. Marshal. You also have Haley Bennett in here. He's tasked with going to Alaska to assist Jason Clarke's character. You have a lot of backstory for Jason Clarke and a tragic moment that happened in his past and how it's affecting his state of mind. And then you have Haley Bennett's character and her past as well, and her connection to everything that's going on. And then you have Dominic Cooper, and I don't want to spoil so much about his character, but this is a stacked cast for the show. So very early on, when I realized it was 10 episodes, I was very worried what they would do with the storyline and how they were able to fill in 10 hours of the show. And they just do such a good job of never making you feel bored, having that conspiracy that's growing throughout, but also giving us a lot of personal moments to these characters. And this community, very small communities, have gone through a lot. And it looks at that community and how they're coming together to find these inmates and protect one another. And that's also looking at that like bonus storyline that's being added onto the series, and that does so much with this very close community and watching these characters grow. But as the series does progress, the conspiracy only gets bigger, and the characters' motives and their secrets really start to challenge the series. And it's a very well directed series. You really feel the cold atmosphere within the show. A lot of it feels very urgent. The stakes are very high. When you look at like this manhunt and trying to find people, it's not going to be something that's going to be quick and easy. It's going to have your tough moments. The show understands that very well, that this manhunt and looking for everybody is not going to be something simple. It's going to be quite challenging. You're in an environment that's unforgiving and harsh. It only adds this extreme level to the show. And the performances are really good as well. Jason Clarke, like I said, has this trauma in his past that has really affected who he is. And he has this barrier up when he's talking to people and trying to communicate what has happened in his past. And Haley Bennett's going through a lot as well. We get a lot of flashbacks to her and Dominic Cooper's character that adds that depth and that personality to these characters. When you are introduced to them, you think, oh, these are tough as nail characters, and then you go back and look at them, your view of who they are shifts dramatically throughout the series, and it almost feels like it's a completely different character by the end of the show. I was really impressed with Last Frontier. I haven't seen The Blacklist, but I've heard many good things about it. But from my initial hesitation within that first episode, thinking, how are they going to fill in 10 hours of this show? They do such a good job with filling in 10 hours to where I don't feel bored. It's constantly adapting, constantly growing throughout. That conspiracy about what exactly happened to this plane, was it an accident or not? Was there a purpose behind it crashing? Only challenges the show and forces these characters to accept challenges head on. I really like the show, and I'm glad that I stuck with it and didn't stop after that first hour. And I'm glad I stuck with it and didn't stop after that first episode thinking, hey, I don't want to invest 10 hours of my time watching this show. And I'm really glad I did, because it is a really intense show with a storyline that only grows and becomes more interesting as it goes along. If you're interested in checking out a new show on Apple TV Plus, which I mentioned many times with my Apple TV Plus reviews, it's a good streaming service and they got a lot of great shows. Add The Last Frontier to your watch list. I'm gonna go ahead and give The Last Frontier an A-. Thank you guys for checking my review for The Last Frontier, the new Apple TV Plus series. Have you guys seen it by chance? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.